50. They tell you it is just a number. They tell you it is the beginning of your golden years. They are lying. You wake up one morning and the house is quiet. Too quiet. The kids are gone, building their own lives, rarely calling. Maybe the person you built a life with is sleeping in another room. Or maybe they are just gone completely. You look in the mirror and you do not recognize the face looking back at you. The gray hair. The tired eyes. The heavy shoulders carrying decades of unspoken sacrifices. You played by all the rules. You worked hard. You provided. And what is your reward? A profound, suffocating emptiness. A sudden realization that half your life is over, and you are standing in the ruins of your own expectations. It hurts. It physically hurts in your chest. The disrespect from those you gave everything to. The career that drained your youth and left you easily replaceable. The friends who slowly faded away when you stopped reaching out first. You have exactly two choices right now. You can sit in that chair. Pour another drink and let resentment eat you alive until the very end. You can become the bitter, forgotten ghost of your own story. Or you can wake up. You can realize that no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to apologize. No one is coming to hand you your purpose back. If you want to survive the brutal reality of life after 50, there is only one way out. Absolute, unbreakable, ruthless discipline. Not the discipline to work harder for someone else. The discipline to reclaim yourself. The discipline to stop caring about things that no longer matter. These are the 8 Stoic rules of discipline you must master right now, before it is too late. The past is a ghost, but it is a ghost you keep inviting to dinner. You sit at the table of your present life, and you set a plate for your regrets. You serve them your energy. You pour them your time. You let them consume the hours you should be using to rebuild. I should have done things differently. I should have seen the betrayal coming. I wasted my best years. These are the negotiations of a defeated mind. And at 50, you do not have the luxury of entertaining defeat. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man can only lose the present moment. He cannot lose the past because it is already gone. And he cannot lose the future because it has not yet arrived. Yet, look at what you are doing. You are dragging the corpse of your past into your present. You are negotiating with decisions made 10, 20, or 30 years ago by a version of you that no longer exists. Stop. Right now. Stop it. There is no time machine. There is no magical apology that will undo the damage. The people who hurt you, the people who walked away, the opportunities that slipped through your fingers. They are gone. They belong to history. Every second you spend wishing things were different is a second you steal from the rest of your life. And the sand in your hourglass is falling faster now. You feel it in your body, do you not? The tension in your jaw. The tightness in your chest when a certain memory surfaces. That is the physical cost of holding on to dead things. It is poisoning your blood. Seneca reminded us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The betrayal happened once. The failure happened once. But by replaying it in your mind, you are letting it happen 1,000 times. You are actively choosing to suffer every single day, over and over again. This is where your discipline must become ruthless. Discipline is not just waking up early or lifting weights. The highest form of discipline is mental gatekeeping. It is standing guard at the door of your own mind and refusing entry to thoughts that drain your power. Discipline begins with radical acceptance. It is the brutal, uncompromising acceptance of exactly where you are today. Not where you thought you would be. Not where society told you you should be. But where you are. Your bank account is what it is. Your health is what it is. Your relationships are exactly what they are. Accept the baseline. When you stop fighting the reality of your past, an immense amount of energy is suddenly freed up. The heavy, invisible weight you have been carrying drops to the floor. You can breathe again. You can stand up straight. Do not look back with nostalgia, and do not look back with bitterness. Look back only for data. What did you learn? What mistakes will you never repeat? Take the lesson and burn the rest. From this day forward, you have a strict policy. No more negotiations with yesterday. When a regret knocks on your door at 2 a.m, you do not answer. When a memory of betrayal tries to hijack your morning coffee, you coldly dismiss it. You evict the ghosts. You clear the room. Because the work you have to do today requires your absolute, undivided attention. You are constructing a new fortress. And you cannot build a solid foundation on the shifting sands of the past. Accept the scars. Wear them silently. And move forward. You used to explain yourself. When someone misunderstood you, you would write long, desperate messages trying to fix it. When someone disrespected you, you would argue, trying to prove your worth and demand basic decency. You gave away your words like they were cheap currency. But your words are your life force. Every syllable you speak in anger or defense drains your battery. And at 50, you simply do not have the energy to waste on ears that are determined to stay closed. Epictetus reminded us that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. But there is a much deeper, more brutal layer to this when applied to survival. Silence is not just about listening to others. Silence is the ultimate, impenetrable boundary. Think about the people in your life who consistently drain you. The adult child who only reaches out when they need something and turns cold when you say no. The old friend who subtly belittles your achievements to make themselves feel taller. The former partner who knows the exact coordinates of your deepest insecurities and bombs them whenever they feel insecure. Every single time you respond to their provocations, you lose. Even if you win the argument, you lose. Because by engaging, you are handing them the remote control to your nervous system. You are letting them dictate your blood pressure. You are letting them decide if you get to sleep tonight. Or if you will stare at the ceiling until dawn, replaying the conversation. That stops today. The discipline of silence is incredibly painful to master at first. When you are falsely accused, your ego violently screams at you to defend yourself. When you are overlooked, your pride wants to shout and demand an explanation. You must learn to bite your tongue. Let the silence hang in the air. Let it become heavy, awkward, and crushing. Silence absolutely terrifies manipulative people. People who rely on your emotional reactions to feel powerful do not know what to do when you simply stop reacting. They expect anger. They expect tears. They expect a fight. When you give them absolute nothingness, they are forced to sit alone with their own toxicity. You do not owe anyone a presentation explaining your boundaries. You just enforce them. You stop warning them that you are going to leave if they treat you poorly. You just walk out the door. If your presence was not respected, let them choke on your absence. There is a profound, unshakable power in looking at someone who is trying to drag you down into their mud and giving them absolutely nothing. No shouting. No crying. Just a blank, steady, stoic gaze. And then, calmly turning your back and walking away to focus on your own life. This is how you protect the remaining decades of your life. You build a massive, invisible wall of silence around your inner citadel. Only those who bring genuine value, mutual respect, and absolute peace are allowed through the gates. The next time the phone rings and you see a name that always brings chaos, let it ring. The next time someone tries to bait you into a familiar, exhausting argument, look at them, smile slightly, and walk away. Without a single word. Your silence is your strongest armor. Put it on. Or spend the rest of your days bleeding out from 1,000 tiny cuts. The morning is the hardest part. It always is. That brutal transition between the oblivion of sleep and the crushing reality of waking up. When you are young, mornings are filled with potential. At 50, when your life has been shattered or stalled, mornings are a battleground. Before you even open your eyes, the weight of everything you have lost sits heavily on your chest. The empty house. The silence that rings in your ears. The immediate, suffocating reminder of who is no longer there and what is no longer yours. Grief, regret, and depression love the morning. They wait for you right at the edge of your bed. They want you to stay under the covers. They want you to negotiate. Just 5 more minutes, they whisper. Why get up? What do you even have to get up for? Listen to me very carefully. If you lose the morning, you lose the day. If you lose the day, you lose the week. And if you lose enough weeks, you will blink and the rest of your life will be gone, swallowed entirely by misery. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius ruled the known world, yet he struggled with this exact same paralysis. He wrote in his journal, asking himself why he was refusing to get up and do the work of a human being. Was he created to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? Your warmth is killing you. Your comfort is rotting your spirit. You must establish an ironclad, non-negotiable morning routine. This is not about becoming a billionaire or a productivity guru. This is about pure, raw survival. It is about building a psychological armor so thick that the despair cannot penetrate it before noon. When your eyes open, your feet must hit the floor. No hesitation. No looking at the ceiling. No reaching for your phone to check for messages from people who have already proven they do not care about you. You do not look at your phone. You look at your own two hands, and you take command of your physical body. Make the bed. It takes 60 seconds, but it is your first victory against the chaos of the universe. It is a physical declaration that in this room, in this life, order prevails. Drink a glass of water. Wash your face with cold water. Shock your nervous system awake. Step outside. Even if it is just for 5 minutes. Let the cold air hit your skin. Let the morning light hit your eyes. Stand there and remind yourself that you are still breathing. You are still in the arena. Grief is a sniper. It waits for you to be still. But grief has a much harder time hitting a moving target. By the time the depression tries to fully set in around 8 o'clock, you have already secured 3 victories. You are already moving. You have already taken control of the narrative. Master the morning, or be mastered by grief. Imagine a ship taking on water. That ship is your life right now. You are 50 years old, and a massive storm has hit. You have limited energy, limited time, and limited emotional reserves. Yet, look at what you are carrying in your cargo hold. People who only call when they need a favor. Friends who remember you only when their other plans fall through. Family members who use your shared bloodline as a weapon to extract your money, your time, or your patience. Habits that numb the pain but slowly destroy your physical and mental machinery. You are carrying dead weight. And if you do not cut it loose, you are going to drown. It sounds cruel. Society tells us to be endlessly forgiving, to always keep the door open, to be the bigger person. But Stoicism is not about being nice. Stoicism is about seeing reality exactly as it is. And the reality is, some people are black holes. No matter how much love, money, or attention you pour into them, they will never be full. And they will drain you dry without a second thought. Seneca wrote about the absolute necessity of auditing your companions. He noted that we are extremely careful with our money. We protect our property with strong locks and alarms. But when it comes to our time and our energy, we let anyone walk in and take whatever they want. We are dangerously generous with the only resource we can never earn back. This requires a terrifying level of discipline. The discipline to look someone in the eye and say, no. The discipline to stop reaching out just to see if they will reach out first. Spoiler alert, they usually will not. And when they do not, you finally have your answer. Accept it. You must take a brutal inventory of your life today. Who leaves you feeling exhausted after a simple conversation? Who brings chaos into your hard-earned peaceful moments? What habits are you using to escape reality instead of building a better one? The late-night drinking to quiet the mind. The endless scrolling on social media, staring at the fake happiness of strangers. The constant complaining about things you cannot control. These are heavy iron anchors dragging you straight to the bottom. Cutting the dead weight will make you feel incredibly lonely at first. You will look around your empty ship and wonder if you made a terrible mistake. But listen closely. This is not loneliness. This is space. This is oxygen. You are finally clearing the deck so you can actually steer the vessel. You cannot navigate out of the storm while you are busy bailing water for people who absolutely refuse to grab a bucket. Let them go. Let the bad habits die. Let the toxic relationships wither from starvation. Protect your peace with the absolute ferocity of a soldier defending the final gate. Because at this stage in your life, your peace is no longer a luxury. It is your survival. You have spent 50 years carrying a heavy burden that was never yours to carry. The burden of other people's opinions. You worried about what society expected of you. You worried about how your family judged your decisions. You twisted yourself into knots trying to be the perfect spouse, the perfect parent, the perfect friend. And what did it get you? Exhaustion. A deep, bone-wearying fatigue that a full night of sleep cannot cure. It is time to master the absolute discipline of not caring. This is not apathy. Apathy is numbness. Apathy is a surrender to despair. The discipline of not caring is a highly active, intentional withdrawal of your energy from anything outside your direct control. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus laid down the ultimate law for a peaceful life. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. Other people's thoughts, their judgments, their actions, and their deliberate misunderstandings of your character. None of that belongs to you. When you cross the threshold of 50, you must realize a brutal truth. People are committed to their own version of the story. If someone wants to cast you as the villain in their life, they will do it. No matter how much you sacrificed for them. No matter how much you explain. They need a villain to avoid looking at their own failures. Let them. Let them be wrong about you. This is one of the hardest disciplines to master. Your ego will scream at you to set the record straight. Your pride will demand that you prove your worth. But true Stoic power is found in the ability to simply shrug and walk away. Imagine someone tries to hand you a heavy, burning stone. For decades, you have been taking the stone and burning your own hands, trying to cool it down for them. The discipline of not caring is simply refusing to extend your hands. Let them hold their own burning stone. Let them drop it on their own feet. When someone gossips about you, do not care. When an adult child tries to guilt-trip you into carrying their responsibilities, do not care. When society tells you that your life should look a certain way by this age, do not care. Consider the sheer amount of mental space you will get back. For years, your brain has been a crowded room full of demanding, critical voices. Now, you are actively evicting them. You are locking the door and finally enjoying the silence. Your remaining years are far too precious to be spent as a supporting actor in someone else's drama. You reserve your care strictly for your health, your peace, your immediate environment, and your own character. Everything else is just background noise. Let the world spin in its endless chaos. You remain the calm center. Unbothered. Untouched. Unbreakable. Your body is the only house you are guaranteed to live in until the exact moment you die. Look at how you have been treating it. For decades, you prioritized absolutely everything else. You pushed through the exhaustion to finish the job. You skipped sleep to take care of the family. You ate garbage because you convinced yourself you had no time. And now, at 50, the bill has come due. The knees ache when you stand up. The back is constantly stiff. Your energy levels crash by mid-afternoon, leaving you hollow. You look in the mirror and see a machine that has been driven into the ground, neglected, and left out in the rain to rust. But you cannot trade this machine in. There is no replacement. The Stoic philosopher Seneca struggled with poor health for much of his life. Yet he understood that the mind cannot function at its highest capacity if the body is completely abandoned. He warned that we must treat the body rigorously, so that it will not be disobedient to the mind. Right now, your body is dictating the terms of your existence. Your chronic fatigue tells you what you cannot do. Your weakness limits your freedom. To lose your physical independence in your later years is to lose your ultimate autonomy. It makes you dependent on the very people you just cut out of your life. You must take the vessel back. This is not about vanity. Nobody cares how you look in a swimsuit at 50. This is about forging armor. This is about building enough physical resilience so that you are never a burden to yourself or to anyone else. Start walking. It is the most basic, fundamentally human movement. Walk until your mind clears. Walk until the heavy fog of depression lifts just a little bit. Then, pick up something heavy. Lift weights. The resistance of the iron is the perfect, brutal metaphor for the resistance of life. You tear the muscle down slightly, so it has no choice but to rebuild stronger. You force your bones to become denser. You force your nervous system to adapt to stress instead of crumbling under it. Eat for fuel, not for comfort. You have spent enough years eating your feelings. You have used food and alcohol as a cheap anesthetic for the pain of your existence. The loneliness of the quiet house and the sting of betrayal. Put down the glass. That drink is not your friend, it is a thief slowly stealing your tomorrow. Push the plate away when you are satisfied, not when you are completely numb. Physical discipline is the root of mental discipline. When you prove to yourself that you can control your hands, your feet, and your mouth, you suddenly realize you can control your emotions and your future. Reclaim the vessel. Make it strong. Make it a fortress. Loneliness is a punishment you inflict on yourself. Solitude is an empire you build. At 50, you must learn the brutal difference between the two. Or you will spend the rest of your life begging for scraps of attention from people who do not value you. When the house is finally empty, when the phone stops ringing, your first instinct is panic. You have been conditioned to believe that silence means you have been abandoned. You turn on the television just to hear another human voice. You scroll through your phone, looking for any digital proof that you still exist in the minds of others. Stop running. Turn off the screen. Stand in the center of the quiet room and listen to it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that a person who is not at peace with themselves will never find peace in a crowd. In fact, the most profound loneliness you have ever felt was probably while sitting right next to someone who made you feel invisible. You do not need more people. You need a fortress. A fortress of solitude is not a physical place. It is a psychological architecture. It is the unshakable inner conviction that you are entirely sufficient on your own. When you build this fortress, You stop viewing an empty Saturday night as a tragic failure of your social life. Instead, you view it as a sacred sanctuary. It is time reclaimed. It is energy preserved. Think about the men and women who have truly mastered life. They do not frantically seek out noise to drown out their own thoughts. They retreat into their own minds to find clarity. You must begin to fiercely guard your alone time. Do not fill it with cheap distractions or alcohol. Fill it with mastery. Read the books you bought a decade ago but never opened. Write down the thoughts you have been too afraid to acknowledge. Sit in a chair, look out the window, and simply practice the absolute discipline of being present in your own skin. When you finally stop fearing the silence, a profound shift happens. You become dangerous to manipulate. People who use the threat of leaving to control you suddenly lose all their power. If they threaten to walk away, you can simply open the door for them. Because you know that on the other side of their departure is the absolute peace of your fortress. You are no longer afraid of being alone, which means you are no longer willing to tolerate disrespect just to keep someone around. Your solitude becomes your highest standard. Anyone who wishes to enter your life now must prove that they are better than your peace. And at 50, let me tell you the brutal truth. Very few people are better than your peace. Build the walls high. Make the gate narrow. And learn to rule your own quiet kingdom. There is a shadow standing in the corner of your room. It has been there your entire life, but at 50, it steps a little closer to the light. The shadow is your own mortality. Society spends billions of dollars trying to make you ignore it. They sell you creams to hide your wrinkles, pills to mask your fatigue, and distractions to keep your mind off the ticking clock. But the Stoics did not hide from death. They kept it right in front of them. Memento Mori. Remember that you must die. At 50, you have crossed the midpoint. Mathematically, realistically, there are fewer days ahead of you than there are behind you. For most people, this is a terrifying, paralyzing thought. They have a midlife crisis. They buy things they do not need to prove they are still young. They desperately try to rewind the tape. But you are not going to do that. You are going to look the shadow directly in the eye, and you are going to let it set you free. When you truly accept that your time is running out, something incredible happens. You lose the ability to tolerate nonsense. Death is the ultimate filter for the trivial. Are you really going to spend one of your limited remaining weekends arguing with someone who refuses to understand you? Are you really going to waste another hour scrolling through the digital lives of strangers while your own life slips away? Are you going to let the fear of judgment stop you from doing the one thing you always wanted to do? You do not have the time. It is that simple, and it is that brutal. You literally do not have the time to care about things that do not matter. Think about the ancient Romans. Generals would have a servant whisper in their ear during their greatest triumphs, "Look behind you. Remember you are only a man. Remember you must die." They did not do this to be depressed. They did it to stay grounded. They did it to remember that no matter how much success they had, or how much pain they suffered, the end was exactly the same. Death makes us all perfectly equal. But how we walk toward it is what separates the weak from the strong. The discipline of Memento Mori is the practice of living with supreme urgency. Not a panicked rush. A calm, focused, deliberate urgency. When you wake up tomorrow morning, remind yourself that this day is not guaranteed. The people you love, the ones who actually deserve your energy, they are not guaranteed either. Speak to them properly. Do the work you need to do. Build your fortress. Leave the petty, dramatic, meaningless distractions for those who foolishly believe they are going to live forever. You are playing the final act of your own movie. The opening scenes are over. The character development is done. The mistakes have been made, and the scars have been earned. Now, it is time for the resolution. It is time to decide exactly how this story ends. The clock is ticking. Your remaining time is the most valuable currency in the universe. Protect it. Spend it with absolute, ruthless intention. 50 is not the end of your story. It is the crucible. It is the brutal, unforgiving fire where the weak are burned to ash and the strong are forged into something completely unbreakable. You have heard the 8 rules of survival. Stop negotiating with a past that is already dead. Make absolute silence your strongest, most impenetrable boundary. Master the brutal transition of the morning, or let grief master your day. Ruthlessly cut the dead weight from your life, whether it is toxic habits or toxic bloodlines. Master the supreme discipline of no longer caring about other people's fictional narratives of who you are. Reclaim your physical vessel before it betrays you. Build a towering fortress of solitude that no manipulator can breach. And finally, embrace the countdown of your own mortality to filter out the meaningless noise. These are not simply philosophical ideas to think about. These are your daily battle orders. Tomorrow morning, the sun will rise again. The house might still be perfectly quiet. The world will still be entirely indifferent to your pain and your sacrifices. But you will not be the same person. You will wake up, and you will not reach for the heavy, suffocating blanket of your past regrets. You will stand up. You will make the bed. You will look in the mirror. Look at the gray in your hair and the deep lines on your face. And you will finally respect the veteran looking back at you. No more waiting for apologies that will never arrive. No more begging for a seat at the very tables you built. No more bleeding out for people who are holding the knife. Your remaining years belong entirely to you. Guard them with your life. Walk forward in perfect silence. Walk forward with absolute discipline. And let the world watch as you build your final, greatest masterpiece. Yourself.